people just want to see cute dogs and be entertained. Had our first reel with a trending audio of her as a puppy hit 500,000 views. It's just like, it's an animal, it's cute, it makes you happy. It's easy to get swept up in that and kind of lose yourself or like lose your motivation.
Welcome back to the Cypress Room, where we dive deep on influencing with integrity. This is a podcast for creators, and I'm Meggie Honeycutt.
And I'm Christina Mascari, and we're excited. We have another in-person interview. It's our third one.
I know.
So we're excited to welcome to the Cypress Room Liz Lang, who is the creator behind Pearl, the Golden Girl. Welcome to the Cypress Room.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and kind of talk about all of this with you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So a little backstory. I met Liz at a YouTube event, a YouTube creator event, which was so cool. That was hosted by YouTube, and like a streamer helped put it together. It was like a karaoke bar. And so we just got to connect there. And I was so intrigued by the type of content that you create. And you're a short form content creator, but you're putting it everywhere. So I was like, and she's local. So I was like, can we get you in person? And so she just moved, but she's all settled in. And so today is the day that we're going to do the interview. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Yes. And you all know how much I love animal content.
Yeah, so Meggie was excited about this one.
I'm super excited that we get to interview. And this is a dog creator, but it's kind of unique too, because Liz isn't necessarily the face of her content. So that's something unique. And we want to definitely dive into that and talk about Pearl. So let's get into it.
So, I mean, the burning question that everybody wants to know, how on earth did you become a dog creator? And just tell us a little bit about your Instagram and your channels for people who might not know about you.
Yeah, so I definitely didn't see this one coming. I have a master's degree in social work. And so prior to being a dog content creator, I was working in hospitals, a lot of mental health hospitals, nonprofits, stuff like that, where I was managing staff and helping, people who needed the help. And I've always wanted a dog. Pearl's my first dog, actually.
That's wild.
Yeah, I know. And to share that with everybody has been so special. But we waited till we got a house and a yard, and March of 2021, we got Pearl. And it just kind of like, you're taking all these pictures and all these videos, you're like sending them to your family. They're like, cool, and you're like kind of spamming them. And in May of 2021, I created her Instagram, and that's kind of where it all started. And at that time, TikTok had just blown up because like COVID, everybody was watching TikTok. So short form video is really taking over the space. And Instagram was trying to push reels for the first time, and people were still skeptical, like, what's a reel? Is it just copying TikTok? We like photos still. But they were offering bonuses and starting to like pick up, reels over there. So we had our first reel with a trending audio of her as a puppy hit 500,000 views. And I was like, wait a minute, what? So that's kind of how it all started. I realized like people want to see this. There's definitely an easy way to like put out these videos and photos for people to see them and like get joy from a cute puppy. And so that's kind of where I started.
When you started making the reels and the TikToks and stuff, did you have an idea of like, well, let me see if this can be something? Was that in the back of your mind, or were you just like, I want to just share this because it's cute?
Yeah, just sharing it because
That's amazing. So was it that first reel that hit 500,000 that you were like, wait, maybe this could be something more than I thought it could be?
I think I was still unsure and I was still experimenting with it. I thought, well, that was really cool. Like a lot of people saw that, and maybe they want to see more. So I'll just like keep trying and like keep seeing what works and like what people like. And it definitely wasn't always 500,000 views after that. Like, you get 1,000 on a cute video. I remember like there was a Harry Styles song, Watermelon Sugar. Yeah, like so popular. Yeah, and we like took her as she was like, I don't know, 20 pounds at the time. And the trend was to like hold her up in the air, like when it said watermelon sugar high.
Oh, okay.
And so we like kind of like held her up, like she popped out from behind a bed or she popped out from behind a door, and we like did that. And that one went viral too. And I was like, people just want to see cute dogs and be entertained. And so I think at that time I started thinking like, okay, I'm gonna keep doing this and I'm gonna try to be really consistent. And I think that's the hard part. Like when you're just starting, not everything is gonna pop and have 500,000 views. You know, something might just get 500 views or 1,000 and you think, that wasn't that good. But truly, it just takes like time and consistency for people to see what you're doing and if they want to keep watching it. So yeah.
Well, one thing I loved about your content too is you've sort of created Pearl's character, even with the AI generated voiceovers and all of that. Can you tell us about kind of the evolution of that? Even like now, Pearl loves to cook
Yeah.
and she loves her vegetables and healthy food. How did you develop like those pieces of like her? I mean, I want to say character, like she's a real dog, but you're kind of bringing that to life like through the internet. Tell
Yeah.
us about that.
Yeah. That is a good point. And I think in the beginning, a lot of people try to tell you, like, find a niche, like, find your thing. And that overwhelmed me at first. I was like, I don't know. You know, she's just a dog and I like doing this. But I had a business coach in the beginning who kind of was like just telling me to be consistent or like telling me how I might work with brands. And she was the one that kept saying, you need to kind of find your thing. And I kept saying to her, "I think Pearl's gonna show me what that thing is. I don't wanna, like, put it into her, like, I want her to show me." And we started doing the vegetable videos, and I was like, "Wow, like, she is obsessed." And this is, like, at her core, she loves carrots and, like, would love to just eat them all day. So I was like, "Okay, like, okay, that she loves that." And then I realized, like, she liked when I would, like, cook, or bake, she would be right there, and I was like, "Okay, like, I wanted to do that with her." And I realized when I started filming with her, her own personality, like, came out, and that just made it really easy for me to develop the character and, like, find what she loved, and then, like, when I would watch her, I would be like, "Oh my gosh, she's totally thinking this," like, she totally loves this or like she's also known for kind of her sounds, like her signature like things that she does in ASMR videos. So she'll do this like exhale, like a big pig snort. And so sometimes it's an impatient snort or sometimes it's like I want more of that or like what it is, you know, but you'll kind of read and see like, oh, that's what she wants. Like you kind of find her voice and like her funny personality through the things she's doing like that.
Oh my gosh, that's so
It is. It's
beautiful.
so
I think that's
fun.
why people just connect so much
Yeah.
because it was like a natural evolution for you and you were really patient with let's find this out. And I love that you had a business coach
Yeah.
because it makes so much sense. But I loved how you in that story you're telling, it's like, yes, I'm taking all this knowledge in from this business coach, but I also like am gonna trust my gut and know that like I just need to wait and be patient and just like look at the fruit of this. Like I'm looking at your numbers. You're on YouTube. You have 129 subscribers over there. On Instagram, you're over 500,000. On TikTok, you're 860. And then Facebook, 72. Like, so over 1 million people along for Pearl and her journey. Like, out of those four platforms, which one is your favorite?
Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram.
I feel like it's really common for creators to say they feel like they have more community over there. And I think that just comes from the direct messaging's a lot easier over there through stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like you notice the same comments a lot of the time. So I'll like know, like, oh, that person comments all the time. They really love Pearl. You know, you just kind of get to know people a little better. So Instagram is definitely the most predictable for me as well. Like if I know if I do a recipe, I know for sure like so, you know, so many people are going to see it and like love those types of videos. I love TikTok too, but in a different way. I feel like it's a little bit more Wild West over there. There's not always the same people that come back. I don't
Mhm.
talk to them, like, a little bit more personally, so I don't always know, like, who they are or, you know, what they're looking for from me, and it's also less predictable. For example, like, I can put a recipe or an ASMR video over there, and maybe 20,000 people will see it, or maybe 30 million people will see it. It's, like, so much of a range,
Yeah.
whereas on Instagram, I can bet at minimum, like, 300,000 people are always gonna see it in a way. So it's just a little less predictable.
Would you say, do you create your content with Instagram in mind and then just kind of repost to the other platforms?
Mhm. I do, which is funny because I do have, like you said, more followers on TikTok. And so sometimes people like brands or, other creators will be like, I'm surprised TikTok isn't your favorite or your top or where you feel more connected. But I do think it is because it is less predictable. So I do go in with Instagram as my priority.
Okay. So
Mhm.
can you tell us a little bit about what was the point where you realized that you could earn an income from this and what was the genesis of that? And I guess just how did you start monetizing
Yeah.
this?
That's a good question. I think originally the first thing was the platforms had bonuses. So, the TikTok Creator Fund, the Instagram bonuses, those were, different things that kept popping up. And I was like, oh, okay, that's an extra $1,000 here, $1,000 there. And then when I had worked with the business coach at first, who really just was kind of helping me figure out how to work with brands. So my first brand deal was with a washable rug company, which is perfect.
That is perfect.
That
Yeah,
is
And it's not
perfect.
something you would think about,
I know.
really. But how perfect is that? Because how many times has she thrown up on your rug?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not common, but she does have a lot of muddy paw prints.
Oh, okay, muddy paw prints.
Yeah, yeah.
See, I guess we're dealing with different things here because mine doesn't eat vegetables. He eats everything
Oh
like
gosh.
off the counter that he shouldn't be, that's
Yeah.
processed. So,
Yeah.
okay,
No, I
muddy
feel that.
footprints. Okay,
Yeah.
go right.
Washable rugs, nonetheless, so necessary for dog and kid parents too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was our first brand deal and it was $1,000 and I think I had 10,000 followers on Instagram at the time. So that amount of money for I think it was 2 reels and a few photos to me was like
Mhm.
earthbreaking. I was thinking, wow, we could really start making money from this and providing value to the brands, which was the biggest part for me and why I was working with that business coach. She really taught me, how do you pitch yourself? Like, how do you show your value to the brand? Why does the brand want to work with you? What in your content would resonate with them and their target audience? And then how do you kind of like close all that together in a package? So, like, providing them, a report on their insights and, the types of comments you got and why it was a successful campaign. So, working with her really taught me all of that and gave me a really good foundation. And I thought, I want to keep doing this. I really found joy from being creative with it. And then just trying to like figure out who else I could work with and why they would want to work with us. So that's where I found I really could monetize. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the beginning, were you doing a lot of pitching on your
I
own?
was.
Okay. Were you
Yeah.
just picking products that you knew you loved or
Yeah.
products that you thought would fit like with the brand?
Definitely both. I tried for like, what we were using already. So the dog toys, like BarkBox was one of our first things that we worked with. We love BarkBox toys because they were the only ones that Pearl wasn't destroying at the time. And so I felt like that was really authentic for me.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing too. I feel like people can tell when you're not being authentic or when you're just talking about something just to make the money or to try to promote something. People can tell. And so I wanted to start off with the brands that I was already using. Mhm.
Well, one thing that I noticed with your brand promotions, it's not just pet products,
Yeah.
but you find a way, like with the shark
Mm.
vac mop, for
Yeah.
instance, to integrate a story in involving Pearl. Do you, for companies like that, that aren't necessarily pet products, are you pitching these stories and these ideas to them?
Mm.
Like, have you already come up with concepts in your head? How does that part work?
Yeah. I think it speaks volumes if you can come to the brand with ideas already or like just a couple of like storylines on how they could see your product in your content or their product in your
Yeah.
content.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I do kind of try to come up with the stories. The other cool thing is sometimes brands see your other content, your other advertisements, and they say, wow, we think you should. The shark one, for example, they came to me and they were like, we see our brand in your content and we think like if you make a mess with Pearl in the kitchen, you could use our hydrovac. And I was like, yes, that's
I
amazing.
love my hydrovac, by the way. Shout out to Shark.
Yeah.
Those things are amazing.
They do make amazing vacuums.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
That's so cool.
I'm really interested in your like on the back end of your audience breakdown just because I mean you're so young and you are in your content a lot, but I feel like animal content sometimes skews like more to my age range. What is the breakdown? Let's start with Instagram because I know they're probably going to be different across the board,
Mhm.
but what's your breakdown of age and I'd love to know country too of your audience.
Yeah. Yeah, the last time I looked, my core audience is between the ages of 25 and 34.
Oh, you're in such a sweet spot. Yes, I love it.
Yeah, I'm 32. So I'm kind of in the middle of that and
Perfect.
interesting to me to see like your age versus like your target audience, I guess, or your following. And so yeah, that's the majority of my age group. I think the second biggest is 40s, 50s, and then like I think 18 to 24 is my third
Oh
biggest.
my gosh, that's awesome that you have a lot of
Yeah.
that young
Yeah.
audience. That's such a good indicator of strength for your brand and longevity for your brand. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think gender, it's very high female based. I want to say 80% female,
Yeah.
20% male. And I think my country breakdown is to having at least, I think it's 55% US.
Okay.
And I think India is following that. And then maybe Canada.
That's super interesting to me
Yeah.
because I mean my audience's breakdown is like that on Instagram as well. I think because a lot of my content is DIY focused and not necessarily me talking, but just showing a before and after.
Mhm.
And I'm shocked at how much of that is outside of the US, but I would figure yours would be more US because I feel like being so into our dogs and like spending so much is an American thing, is it not? I don't know. Maybe you know.
It seems like it is, and then you're so surprised. Like, I feel like India is so dog heavy, like, on
That's
what they
so
consume
wild. I would
content.
never assume that. I love that.
Yeah.
We just get so in our bubble sometimes. I love the fact that you're creating for people, a huge amount of people outside of this country and just showing them like into your life and that they love dog content too. It makes
Mhm.
us all, like
Oh,
bond.
Yeah.
I
I
love it.
really think animal content is like one of the great unifiers because
You do. She's a huge fan of animal
yes,
content.
I feel like all ages, all one thing we can agree on is we love animals.
Yeah.
So
It does. It is unifying, and, like, you can't help but smile sometimes or just, like, not care about where people are at on one side of, like, a decision or
Yeah.
an argument. It's just, like, it's an animal, it's cute, it makes you happy.
yeah, for sure. Well, I love hearing that you have an audience, not just in the US. And it leads me to a question because I know you created this plush,
This is like one of the top
the
things we have.
pearl plushie, which
Right.
is so cute and such a great idea. And that you started shipping internationally. So that makes sense now. But I want you to tell us about the process of how you came up with this idea for the pearl plushie, the development and bringing it to market, and then your decision to ship internationally and how everything kind of turned out with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I really had thought about the plushie with Pearl, when I actually had written the children's book as well. So we had written a children's book about her love for vegetables, and that started because
It's
it's
so
it is so smart. It just fell into place, like, I swear nothing has ever been more organic because when I was posting her videos, like, we did a color series, so 5 foods you can share with your dog, green edition or red edition, yellow edition, and it taught people about the benefits of the vegetables because I would always say, like, "This is high in potassium," or "It's good for your eyes," or whatever it is. And those started really taking life and, like, blowing up. For example, the 5 foods you can share with your dog green edition had 31 million views on TikTok.
Holy
Wow.
And when that happened, all these, like, parents with young kids and toddlers started commenting, like, when my child is overwhelmed, like, they ask to put a Pearl video on and, they're happier, or I have an autistic son and he never really smiles, or like he never does this, and I put a Pearl video on and he's like so happy and like regulated and calm. And I started getting more of those comments where it was like, Pearl's like a spokesperson for veggies. Like she's a spokesperson for healthy eating. She's convinced my 5-year-old to try more green foods. And then I was like, wow, like this is impactful. Like, you think you're just sitting on the floor feeding your dog a snack and then like it turns into something else. And so when that was all happening, all those comments, I thought I need to write a children's book like about how she's kind of influencing that and like how it's good to eat more vegetables and fruits and more vibrant foods and it can make you strong and like all those things. So it took life and we wrote a book. I wrote a book. I say we. I actually like talk like pearls, like doing things.
Yeah.
But I wrote the book, and I self-published and put it on Amazon KDP. So we've been selling our children's book. It's almost been a year now.
Wow.
Yeah, we've had it on Amazon. And after that, I thought it needs like a matching plush.
Oh, for sure.
Of course.
Yes. So it was just the next like evolvement of what I wanted to do. So I have an agency that I work with. I have a manager that helps with our brand deals. They also have a different department that helps with ventures like merchandise and creating your own products. So it was a crowd-funded plush toy. So we did a pre-order and it was really great because there was no like overhead for me. I
Yeah.
have
Oh,
a lot of
wow.
buy-in because it was just crowdfunded and they really helped with the design and everything. So I knew that I wanted a golden retriever dog, obviously. And then Pearl has a birthmark on her tongue. It's a little black spot that kind of like identifies her and her audience always comments on it. And then I wanted to kind of push the envelope a little bit and do a detachable Velcro carrot. It's
So cute.
So cute.
It's so cute. And so that you just launched that, right? Okay.
yes, yeah.
And so you're in the process. Are they being produced now
They
to be
will
shipped out?
be
Okay.
very soon. So they're being produced right now, and then they will be shipped out the end of December.
Very cool. Well, we'll have to have you back like in a year to talk about how all that process went and maybe see where it's at and if you have new products and all that.
Yeah.
That's great.
And you were telling us you already have orders from how many different countries?
This still like blows my mind. 9 countries.
Wow.
Yeah, and thankfully, so the agency I worked with was able to do worldwide shipping.
That's amazing.
And
And figure all that out for you.
yeah, which
Yeah.
gosh, I could never do.
Oh my gosh. That would be hard.
That
No,
would be hard.
yeah.
Well, so with the success of the book and the plushie, are you thinking ahead now to even more developing more merchandise that's Pearl centered?
I am, and I have been kind of figuring out like what's next. And I really do want to do another series into the book because I do have some other ideas from things that kind of she does that people really resonate with.
Mm-hmm.
I won't like tease it too much, but
Don't give away the
Top
secrets.
secret.
Okay, I love it though. A series. That's so cute.
so I think that would be next. But definitely like little merchandising things, like whether it's coffee cups or like t-shirts. I don't know. I've thought about that, but not quite sure yet the market for it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I love how much you're bringing. It's obvious how much community you have and how much community you've created around Pearl and like the impact that she's making. And I love that you're just showing us your community helped shape like some of these things. These are the things that people see that
Yeah.
they resonated with, that changed their life. And you're like, okay, I'm going to take this and expand it out. And I love that people are interacting with you and you're getting to see like what is this doing beyond me just sitting on the floor with my dog and loving my dog and then how they're helping shape all these other things. Like it's such a testament. We're always like talking about community, but having you kind of like walk us through what it actually looks like is like, this is why it's important. This is why you have to pour in. This is why you have to show up in your DMs. This is why you have to show up in your comments. It's easy to just put something up there and then ghost because, oh, it's too overwhelming. I can't even go in there. But like if you wouldn't have taken the time to do that, you wouldn't even know the impact. And those are the things that are going to like keep you going and then just keep your brand growing. So I love having that, you walking us through that journey. Because we're always pounding community, but I don't know if we necessarily always have examples of just how much it's affected like your brand. Yeah.
I love that. I love that you listen to your community and get their feedback and put that directly into what you're creating. And it leads me to the question, I put this on our sheet. Do you think you'll ever, like, with the launch of the plushie and the book, go out and do, like, meet and greets? Has your community, is that something they've asked for and you've considered?
Yes, yes, we do get the requests for them, and I think it's just hard to pick a location. We did a meet and greet in Orlando we did a global pet expo conference, and they had highlighted some of the influencers that were there. So we did a meet and greet in Orlando at that pet conference. That was amazing. We did have people come and like say they were really excited to meet Pearl or they've been trying to meet Pearl and me and yeah, I definitely would like to do more of that, and a lot of people have been like New York or California or Colorado, and so we're just trying I've done polls before, like, trying to listen to my audience, and, it's been scattered, so I'm kind of trying to figure out still where I would want to meet people at, but yeah,
Mhm.
definitely still trying to think about that.
Where are you at in terms of I feel like this is, like, such an interesting question because you are a face of your brand, but Pearl is, like, the main face, but you're driving all of it.
Yeah.
So just, like, mentally for you, like, what that load is like because it's, like, sometimes are they kinda directing the question at Pearl? Like, what is that like having to navigate that just as a person?
That is difficult.
Yeah.
Because too, there's a lot of pet creators, and there have been some that really focus on their dog talking, or their dog kind of like speaking and thinking. I try to balance it with both, where I'm like showing my face, doing like day in the life things, and then Pearl's also kind of narrating what she thinks about what we're doing,
Mhm.
recipe. Um, but I think that it's difficult to find your voice, and there have been creators that also act like they're talking like their dog in their DMs or in their comments, which is nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, it's
People
just making that
yeah.
decision of what do I wanna do and what can I handle
Yeah.
mentally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely think that there's a fine line of like trying to figure out and I feel like you kind of do have to pick. Like you have to pick if you want to be speaking for your dog or, kind of how you're balancing that. So, I've really kind of just tried to keep it more in my voice if possible. And yes, there are times where I'm like narrating Pearl because she looks like she's thinking or like, but there was a clip recently where she was like standing on our new staircase and she was like stuck. She was like 2 feet up on a stairs and 2 feet down on like a different staircase. And she just looked frozen. And so I was kind of like narrating like what she was thinking maybe. And I think that's as far as I go because it is hard to mix your voice with the animal talking as well.
Okay. And another question I have because like she's your buddy, she's your baby first off.
Yes.
And I just know how my mind works with creating content. Like can you separate, oh, she's doing something cute and can I just be in the moment with her or do I need to like
Mhm.
capture this?
Yeah.
Do you struggle with that?
Yes. Yes. A lot of times because she'll do something really cute and I won't have my phone and I'm just like, "Oh, she's being so cute. I love this." Like just last night, we have our new yard and she loves our yard. And she does this thing when she's really excited. She like bunny hops and like she doesn't use all 4 feet. She just like hobbles and it's like she gets air, like, it's great, it's amazing, and I didn't have my phone, so I was, like, enjoying it, but then I was like, "Oh, crap," like, I didn't have my phone to, like, record this, I want other people to see it, and she doesn't do it that often, so you're kinda, like, fighting yourself on, like, being in the moment and, like, "Where's my phone?" and, like, kind of running around trying to get it all, which is a balance too, but I definitely think if you put aside time for, filming and then you try as hard as you can to like get the moments that are like organic and like quickly happen and you grab your phone and record it. And then you also balance it with the time that you're just being present and
Yeah.
enjoying it. So I try to cut the time out so that I'm not as like worried about, just relaxing with her.
Mhm.
I think that's such an interesting point because it leads me to the question of, I mean, you are working with an animal, so how do you plan content when, maybe Pearl doesn't feel like filming some days or she isn't doing the thing that
Need to get
you
done.
need to get done
This
or
is on the call sheet, Pearl. This has to
yes.
be due to a brand. I need you to make a mess.
Exactly. But like how do you plan content around and keep the balance and the boundary and you're working with an animal. How does it work for you?
Patience. Lots of patience. I tell my husband all the time, I don't think he could do it because he's so impatient with her. Like, if we're doing training or something and maybe she doesn't get the skill or, like, the trick right away, and no shade to him, he's the best dog dad, but literally, he's gonna watch this and be like, but it just requires so much patience, and I do let her tell me, like, if she's not feeling it, which, to be honest with you, there's always food involved. So she's usually fine because she's so food motivated. If there's food, she's like, "I'm there.
Yeah.
What do you want? I'll wake up. I'll do whatever." She's so, like, ready to go with it. But there are times, like, I think, your podcast for creators, like, you wanna be authentic and not make everything look like sunshine and rainbows, and there are days where maybe she just doesn't wanna sit in front of that table and, like, do what I'm asking, and I feel like you have to take a step back and, like, just take a break, and I'm not always good at that, but it's real, and it's not like it always works out perfectly the first time, or maybe she spills something that she wasn't supposed to spill, and you're like, "Great, now this is gonna take a lot longer," you know? So I think just giving yourself grace and, like, knowing the days that it's not gonna work or, you're just not feeling it, to let yourself take that time, and if you're working with an animal, like, if they're telling you, like, "I'm not in the mood," which, again, doesn't really happen because of the food motivation that she has, but just to listen to that and actually, like, make sure that you're being true and, like, not pushing it too far.
Yeah. I love that you
Yeah.
brought up your husband because I would love to hear,
Yes.
like, the evolution of you doing this and, like, moving into this, like, what his role was, like, what did he think of all this, and, like, what does he think of it today now that you're doing it, like,
Mm.
full time and killing it?
Thank you. He says, well, I say to him all the time, like, "I can't believe I got a master's degree and now I make videos of my dog and that's what I do." And it, like, really works, and it's, something I'm really happy in, and I can't believe it either. I think we're both in this, like, constant state of, "Wow, this is what you're doing." And I think he's really proud of it, like, he loves watching the content too. He is sometimes my assistant. I feel like there's a lot of work that goes into the behind the scenes,
Mhm.
and just trying to get him to help with that too when he can. He does work full time, and so he's not usually around when I'm filming a lot, but if we have to go film at a waterfall for, like, a hiking video, like, he helps with that, and I'm just really grateful that he's on board with it. Um, but I remember, like, when I was still working as a full-time social worker, he and I were kind of just talking back and forth about, like, when is the time that you would, like, be full-time, and, like, how do we know that that's gonna be a secure career for you, you know? And I think that's one of the hardest parts, is making
Mhm.
that decision. And for me, I had signed with a talent agency and was doing better than I was by myself. They were doing the negotiating for me, they were doing the contracts for me, and that's something personally, I'm not like a salesperson and I'm not a negotiator. And so their help really pushed our rates into a different category for content creation, and so we felt more comfortable at that time saying, "Okay, this agency is really helping you." They weren't necessarily bringing me deals, but the ones that would come in my inbox or my DMs, they were helping to have that conversation and close it.
Yeah,
So,
and get that rate up for you.
yeah.
Because it's I mean, for people who aren't sales driven, it is very hard to ask for what you're actually worth, and it's hard to know if you don't have a huge community where people are sharing rates openly, it's hard to know, so I love to hear that you've had a positive experience like that and that it's brought you up because I feel like that's one of the number one questions that we get, and the answer is it's different for everybody.
Different it is.
And some people do it and it doesn't work at all, but I love that you're saying, like, "Actually, they're not bringing me deals." So, like,
Yeah.
as much, like,
Yeah.
I'm still getting a lot of stuff in my inbox, but what it took off my shoulders is, like, getting what
Exactly.
the going rate is and taking that load on because negotiating is stressful, man,
Yes, it is.
Stressful.
especially if you don't have a personality for it.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
And I think it when you're kind of more of an empathetic, like,
Yes.
person and you're, like, a little afraid to, like, ask for things sometimes, like, I advocate for myself, but I don't it's harder when there's money involved, and it's also harder when, you have to be the one creating the content and everything. It kind of takes that person out like, the person out of it when I don't have to, like, kind of go back and forth about budget.
Mhm.
I get to just be the happy creator,
Yeah.
not necessarily the person who's, like, hardballing and, like, just trying to understand their needs versus our needs and how to agree on the same, like, deliverables and budget.
Yeah, I love that.
Mhm.
That's such a good
It
point.
helps a lot.
Because, like, I can tell you're all about building the relationship, and I
Mhm.
can see how, like, the being
Yeah.
doing that hardball negotiating, yes, I know I'm worth it, but it's also, like, I feel like this makes us not be as connected, and if
Yeah.
we can just be connected over, like, "I wanna make you the best content, I want eyeballs on this stuff, like, I want you to enjoy working with me," it does take that load off, especially if you're an empath.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
Yeah.
And I can focus on the content and, like, making it the best I can while everybody else is just figuring out the contract and the red lines and the payment terms.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Not my thing.
And then following up when you don't get paid.
Yes, that is such a real thing. Just let
So real.
go that. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
How do you I'm sure your inbox must be flooded with people who want to work with you. Are you choosy? Are you saying no? Do you kind of have a limit for how many brand deals you do per month, or do you just kind of see what comes in and take it on a case by case basis? How do you decide who to partner with and how often
Yeah.
to do it?
That's a really good question. I am choosy. We do get a lot of offers, and if it's a product that I wouldn't give Pearl, maybe it has, like I kind of mentioned, we're really into like holistic health and like making sure that the things that you're giving your dog are safe and good for them. And so, like, if a dog treat company that has like 14 ingredients and like food dyes and like things that I wouldn't give Pearl or like rawhide, which can be bad for dogs, there's certain things that if I see the ingredient or it's like a plastic toy that I think she could eat, I'm definitely gonna say no. So I really try to stay true to everything that we promote, and if I wouldn't give it to Pearl, I'm definitely not talking about it. And then as far as like the amount of brand deals, you never really want to overwhelm your audience to like smack them with a bunch of promotions. And so I really try to keep it to like 3 or 4 a month, maybe 5 if it's like, a high like holiday season or
Mhm.
something like that, where there's a lot of people buying things. So it's a little bit more natural because it is like a sale season. But I think that's been kind of the happy balance where I'm putting out my organic content and I put like one a week of a paid partnership that's organic to us in there.
I love that. I think you
Yeah.
do, like, a really good balance.
Yeah.
Like, we always binge content.
Yeah.
Like, I've been
Yes.
following you since I
Yes.
met you this summer, but we always binge, like, the night before, and so that's when you do get a really good sense of, like, how balanced is the
Mhm.
content, and your integrations, not only are they natural, it's not, like, bombarded, so I think, like, you do a really conscious job of just protecting your brand and protecting you and protecting Pearl, but also being a smart business person. Like, it does seem really, like, effortless as you're scrolling through.
Yeah, I agree. And I wanted to get to know a little bit more. We had this on our sheet too, because you mentioned dog health and what you're feeding your dog, and there is an education element to some of your
Mhm.
content about what's good for your dog, what isn't. Can you tell us the inspiration behind that and how you got into it and what you've learned,
Ye
just kind of that education piece of your content?
Mhm. That's a good question too. I definitely pull from, like, my personality, I think, too. I really try to be health conscious and, like, try not to eat, ingredients that are not good or, like, foods that are not good for you, and I wanted the same for Pearl. Pearl's been, like, on a human grade dog food since we got her, and just trying to keep everything clean, and then as I'm learning, I think, well, I think other people should know about this or know that this could be harmful for their dog. And even people who like come to your house and like, for the holidays, maybe your grandparents or your parents come over and they're like eating Thanksgiving food and they're like giving your dog things under the table. Like That for me, last holiday, and I will be doing it again this holiday season. I did 5 foods you can't share with your dog, and
So important.
it is so and people were commenting like, "I'm sending this to my family members who haven't, like, give my dog all these weird foods."
Yeah.
And that's so real because
Mhm.
not everybody knows grapes are toxic or macadamia nuts are toxic.
I had no idea about the macadamia nut
I
one.
didn't
Yeah,
either
I
until
And then you said almonds too. I'm like, "Oh my gosh." I think Murphy's gotten into the almonds before. So just thinking what I need to like lock up in the pantry to have up on the higher shelves because he gets in there, y'all.
Yeah, Pearl steals everything
Yeah.
too, so it's hard, and it's like sometimes you don't even know those things aren't good until you've, like, researched it, and I kind of felt like as I was sharing the things you can share, I needed to balance it out with, like, this is what you should be careful of sharing and, like, just like a learning moment of it
Yeah.
too, and people resonated with it, and, like, actually, I felt like they were getting value from it, so I just continued to do that.
Mhm.
Those are so fun.
It is so fun, and anybody who's had a $500 vet
Oh,
bill from your
golly.
dog
Yeah.
eating something wrong will appreciate that content for sure, and I'm speaking from experience.
Yes.
Well, so we met at a YouTube event, which the fun fact, you wanted to sing a song. I wasn't brave enough to sing a song. She was brave enough to sing a song. It was Shania Twain. And so
Good
she
choice.
grabbed another girl and then a girl grabbed me, come sing back up for her. I'm like, okay. And I like did not know the song very well. It's like, I thought I knew this song. Don't know it very well. But that was so fun that you got up there and sang. And a bunch of us just like connected in the hallway afterwards. And it was so beneficial to me. Because we were just sharing everything. Like you were talking about, oh yeah, I signed with an agency and this is what I like about it. This is what I don't. And like those connection points and just being like forthright with what you have is so life-giving to creators. So I just was like, okay, I know I want to interview her because you were just so generous with like what was working for you and what you like doing. We were like hanging out in the lobby afterwards because they kicked us out. I'm like, no, don't leave. Everybody come here. I want your information. I want to follow you. I want to know more about you. So, and this has just been this interview has been so eye-opening to me. I think you're doing a lot of things really well. I think you're doing a lot of things healthy. And for people who don't want to be so forward facing, it's like you're a super intelligent person. You could be forward facing and you're lovely, but I love that you have just done what you felt like is supposed to be what your brand is supposed to be. And I think I hope people go just like binge your content like us and just start getting ideas of like if they are passionate about something, if they want to share something that they don't necessarily have to be the face of their brand and it can work. I think it's very cool.
Very
Yeah.
cool. And I'm gonna forever be a fan of Pearl because I just love
She's
I
so
love
sweet.
animal content, and I think it's just such a bright spot on in social media. It's just so positive, and you can't help but smile when you watch it.
But it still can be deep. I feel
And
like is what I've learned today and
educational. Yeah.
educational. Yeah.
So good.
Was there anything else that you wanted to talk on? I kind of was interested. I don't see this. I feel like the things are going the way of like very shoppy focused content with like TikTok shops. And now YouTube shopping is getting into it. It's only a matter of time before Facebook and Instagram. They're always the last ones. I don't know why, but it's only a matter of time before like everything is going to be linked, everything's going to be clicked, and all these platforms are going to be taking a piece of that pie
Yeah.
with how your content is going and just how it seems you navigate towards natural things, can you incorporate some of these like TikTok shop or YouTube shopping into your content? Have you tried to do that or does it just not seem like a good fit for you right now?
Yeah. I've done a little bit of it, just kind of experimenting. We had worked with Ninja on their Ninja slushy machine. So we
Okay.
had linked that and we sold some. And so I think whether it's like a appliance or a
Okay.
dog leash,
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think there is a good way to do it. I
Okay.
try not to overly link everything, but inevitably when I share things in my stories, I get like, 200 responses like, where did you get that dog bowl? Or where did you get that harness for your dog? Like, so it almost is helpful to tag it proactively and
Yeah.
have that like reverb of like trying to find everything and link it later to help people. You had mentioned earlier too, like about being in your DMs and listening to your audience. I can't tell you how many times, like I do get, depending on the day and like what I've shared, a good amount of DMs. And sometimes I don't get to them for like a week, or like I'll be getting a pedicure and I'll be like, I'm going to go through every single one now. And that's kind of a good sign to do. Oh, yeah. So if
Yeah.
Def Pedicure and you're a content creator, go through your DMs. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there. And when I go through them, I can't tell you how many times people say, "Oh my gosh, I cannot believe somebody with 500,000 followers on Instagram has responded to me. Like, I didn't know you would have the time to do that." And it does like seem meaningful when
Mhm.
I am able to like answer their question, or they'll ask, something specific about golden retrievers, or they have a dog who's overweight. Do you have any suggestions? And so I try not to ever give advice like that's like medical advice. I'm not a vet. I'm not a certified nutritionist, but I try to give them like advice that I've tried myself.
Yeah.
So there's a fine line there too.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, are people really looking to you to be like the end all be all?
Yeah.
It's just sometimes they don't have somebody to ask that question to, and just being that person to be like, me, like be like,
Yeah.
"Do you like this sweatshirt?" Like I really don't care if she says yes or no. I just need to like share it with someone so I don't have to wear the weight of the decision, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It's like a connection
Yeah,
point,
it's the
right?
connection point.
For
Yeah.
people, and it makes them feel more invested, I think,
Yeah.
when they can ask you a question and,
Mhm.
like, get an answer.
Yeah.
So I think that it's really neat that you do, being such a large creator, take the time to answer DMs when you can, because I think that your community is a testament to that.
Yeah, the strength of your brand. I
Yes,
think it's
and
gonna
the
continue
strength
to
of
be
your
that
brand.
way. I love that.
Sure.
I so this brings me into another question. Because we've touched on, you do have an agent and they're helping with, the brand deal negotiation. They helped you launch your product. Do you have anybody else that's working for you or contracting?
Not yet. I've definitely toyed with the idea of an assistant, or somebody who maybe can just help me like film content if I'm out and about.
Yeah.
My husband, again, he's great. But sometimes, husbands, they like hold the phone crooked, or their fingers in the way, or like something, and you're like, no, that wasn't a finger. Yeah, like, okay, like that was a fail. But we just had a waterproof shoe company that we worked with, and so a little bit more difficult to, like, go into nature and, like, hike to a waterfall and, like, show the shoes in action, and, like, you're focusing on, and, that takes experience and, like, art, I feel like,
Yeah.
too. People might think, like, "Oh, you're just making a video," but, like, you're trying to capture the logo and, like, the brand's, like, key points, and, like, making the product look really good and not letting it get too muddy, but, like, get wet, and so I think there's like an art to that, and I've thought about hiring somebody who has a little bit more experience to be like my second shooter, or, kind of help me get myself in the content even more.
Mhm.
Husbands are great, but
Yeah.
don't have the experience.
Yeah.
So,
And sometimes you wanna just keep that relationship
yeah.
what it is.
Yes.
Like, it's beautiful
Yes.
for him to help you, like,
Mhm.
get it up and going and support you, but sometimes, like, not everybody's meant to work with their
Yeah.
husband. There's a lot of people
Yeah.
in this industry, in just content creation, that work with their spouse,
Yes.
but then there's a lot of people that don't. I'm one
Yeah.
that I do not. My husband helps with the finance stuff because
Yeah.
that's, like, his bent, and I am not bent that way at all. But he's not helping with the creative, and we don't wanna work together every day, we figured that. We have to move furniture together, and it's like, I'm scared for our marriage every time we have to move furniture, or every time I'm like, "Can we go pick this up? Can you help me?"
After just moving, I feel that to
Yeah.
my core. We moved a very heavy wood table into our house, and I like had to like put it down. He's like,
Oh, and
"You're unreliable." I was like, "My hand is
they just will understand. I'm like, "No, I'm going to drop this," and they're like, "Just power through." I'm like, "No, like, you don't understand, my arm is failing. I'm telling you, so we can either drop it or you like, there's no pushing through."
Oh, it's so real. Just so real.
Oh, man. Oh my gosh. Oh, well, I'm just now realizing we didn't tell you about our segment where we do our favorite things. I'm sure you can come up with one.
Yes, a
'Cause
favorite
yeah, because
pet
we always
item.
share, like, a favorite thing at the end of the podcast to just connect with our audience and let them know what we're loving and that they should try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you have a favorite pet product,
too."
let us know.
I do, and it's kind of a newer one to me. I just discovered it in March, and it's that Woof popsicle. So it's like a popsicle holder for dogs, and it's like a silicone circular thing, and then there's these little inserts. You can make your own, or you can buy them and like freeze them, and then you insert the ball into this holder. and it keeps Pearl busy for, like, 30 minutes
Oh,
just eating
nice.
this, especially if it's
Very nice.
frozen. They're affordable, like I said, you can make your own, like, filler in the molds that they have, or you can buy, like, the pre-made ones, but, like, moving, that was literally a savior to me
Oh,
because
nice.
'cause you gotta keep
Busy.
yes, like, she loves people, and in real life, like, we've met some people in Washington, DC when we were on trips and, like, just, fans that we've met along the way, and she's so excitable, and so we had, like, movers in our house, and, like, she's so people focused, but I had given her the popsicle, and she was laying on her bed eating it with the door wide open and movers coming in and out, and that saved me, so I preach that one.
That is a great idea. Do you I have a pet
Okay, you
product. I
go.
thought
I'm
about
probably
this
not gonna have a pet product. Mine's probably just gonna be random.
I thought of this before I came because we have it mine is for cats. I do have a dog, but I recently bought a window hammock for our 15-year-old cat, and she is absolutely obsessed with it. It sticks suction cups to the window, and it's like this furry, fuzzy,
I
like
always forget that you have cats because they're just like non-existent when I'm at
I
your
know.
house. They hide.
Yes, and so she sits in it and loves to look out the window and sunbathe all day, and it's, like, the best purchase for pets I've made in quite a while because she is just living her best life.
Oh my gosh.
15 years old, just laying in that sling 15 hours a day.
So cute.
Soaking up the sun,
Soaking up
watching the neighbors.
Yes, and there's a bird built a nest on the top of the gutter right outside the window, so she is just in heaven.
It's so fun. Well, I'm gonna go off the rails. I don't have a pet thing because my dog just likes to eat the bread and stuff off the counter.
Amen.
But you do have a good calming treat for me, so I'm gonna try those out. But so what I've been dealing with this past week is I had one of those zits that like it never came to a head, but it was like a mosquito. It looked like a second chin. It was so painful. Like there was no, it was so weird. Like I could feel it, but I could never see it. And it was not great. And so I did two things to get it to go away and give me some relief. So I'm going to share those. And one is the Murad salicylic acid deep acne treatment. So I put that on there and then Mighty Patches. If you don't
Oh.
use Zip Patch, and I've tried all the Zip Patches, okay? And I know Mighty Patch is the brand name and it's more expensive than some of the other ones, but to me, that is the one that like works the best. And so with the combo of that, I got my second chin to go away. So if you're still struggling with
I can
acne,
see it.
no matter what age you are, it is very dried out, which stinks, but it doesn't hurt anymore. Like it was like pulsating.
It had its
I
own
literally
heartbeat.
had
And
one
I could get
person
no relief. And so those two things really helped and they worked. So the Murad, a little bit expensive. I'm not gonna lie. Brand name, but it works. So if it works, I'm willing to pay a little bit more.
Yes,
So there we
worth
go.
it. There you
I
go.
wanted to take you on a journey today. My favorite thing. I had to dig deep.
I love
I was like, what was my biggest pain point all week? That was it. What saved my life this week? That was it.
Well, thank you so much, Liz, for taking the time to come in person, which we love having people in person, and share with our audience so openly. Like, we just had a great time. And I think there's a lot of nuggets of wisdom that you shared that are going to be helpful to creators watching this. So, thank you so much.
Yeah, I think just like you have such a ease and but there's such an intelligence behind it too, but there's also that piece of just like how much you love Pearl and how much you just want to I think it probably extends like into everything, into your relationships. It just seems like you care very deeply and you just want to see people do well and you want to be a light and not like a divider. And that's something that we really need right now in the world. So just thank you for that consistency and all the hard work that we know that you're doing behind the scenes. And I just know that it's making a difference. And I'm glad you get to hear some of those differences. But I want you to know there's probably a lot of stories that you'll never hear and a lot of just little moments in the day that you're just bringing joy and light and fun and love in there. And I think it just is an extension of who you are as a person. So I was so grateful to sit down and get to hear a little bit more about you personally. But just know that who you are as a person is definitely coming out in your content. And I think that's why it resonates with so many people. So it was just really beautiful to talk to you today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I think it's easy to get swept up in just doing, making the videos and like posting it and like keeping up with things and like keeping up with your views and like the pressure of
Yeah.
competing in a way. You're not competing with other creators, but you are competing with the views. Like
Hmm.
you get to be seen. And it's easy to get swept up in that and kind of lose yourself or like lose your motivation. And I really hope and pray that that is coming through, like you said, just being true to yourself and like spreading the joy and the happiness rather than focusing on anything else is most important.
Yeah, beautiful. So thank you for being here today. We're going to link all of the places you can find her. We're going to link the children's book. You missed the pre-order on the plushie, but I'm knowing that's coming back. So we'll
Yes.
just put all that information down in the description box for you. Don't forget to like this video before you leave. Subscribe because we have some great
Yes.
stuff coming up. What else?
That's it. Go
That's
follow
it.
us over on
Leave us a
TikTok.
comment. Comment. We
Yes.
like community. We will answer every
Yes.
comment, you guys. If you comment, we will answer you back. We have the time to do it. So
Yes.
yeah.
And we'll link all of our favorite things in the description
Mhm.
box as well. We'll be back with another podcast soon. So we'll see you next time in the Cypress Room.